All right, we are live, so I'd like to go ahead and call to order the Moab Tourism Advisory Board meeting on this June 9th, 2026, approximately 3:01 p.m. If you can go around the room and do introductions. Wendell Williams, Chair of Moab Tourism Advisory Board.
Lori McFarland, Vice Chair.
Jason Taylor, Board Member.
Felicia Beatty, Board Member.
Sharon Kinsley, board member.
Cora Phillips, Director of Moab Chamber of Commerce, Board Member.
Egan Metzner, director of the Moab to Monument Valley Film Commission.
Howard Trainman, Board Member.
Brian Martinez, County Commissioner.
Allie Harford, Moab Office of Tourism.
Nick Salata, Moab Office of Tourism.
Right.
And you do have a handout.
Yes.
If Brian has just walked in and anybody else for budget sheet and a agenda.
This is much prettier than mine.
This time I'd like to open up for any conflicts of interests, disclosures, or ex parte communications.
We will be participating hopefully tomorrow morning with Camp for Tourists to do some shooting for Post Village trip.
Right. I do see we have some people in the gallery here today, so I'd like to open this up to any citizens in the room who would like to be heard today.
Stand up.
Yeah, you can sit down in the chair if you like.
All right, Josh.
Yeah, go sit down, maybe it makes it easier. It's really low key. So.
No. Hello, everybody. My name is Josh Serks, and I own Pedal Moab. We're a small rafting company here in Moab. I'm just here because I just wanted to say and talk about some things about this article about Trip from Hell that the Times Independent had written. And mostly, I hope that they're watching, because I just had a couple things to say about the lack of maybe journalistic integrity. I don't know if that's a word, or maybe some morals. I have the email from Lizzie about what the article was supposed to, excuse me, be about. But it was supposed to be about how guides work and live in Moab and housing. And that was the main basis of the questions that were asked by my guides, Jaden and Cheyenne. So they felt completely kind of taken out of context. They were very sad when they read the article, and they felt very duped and tricked. So I don't know what the rules are with journalists, but I think that's pretty low. Also asking a third-year guide about the lowest water they've seen when they weren't even here in 2012 or other years is kind of a low blow to that whole thing. You know, third-year guides, not much. We all know those are in 2012, pretty good ones out here. The Trip from Hell was not a guided trip. It was a bunch of goofball private boaters just having fun and not really paying attention. So he was just telling a funny story, and it got totally taken out of context. And again, he thought I was talking about housing, because that was what most of the questions were about. And Jaden was hoping that it was going to be more about the environmental concerns of the future of water in general and where it comes from. So she felt really bad about the article as well. So I want to say that to the people listening. Also, Moab is a great place to go to on the river. It's hovering around 3,000, which sure is kind of low, but it's still super fun. Hundreds of people come every day and have a wonderful time on the river. People are excited to be on the river. It's a great thing to do, especially because we all know it's warm in Moab. Tourism money towards river activities is greatly appreciated by me and my guides. Many times I hear in my shop that people walk in and they didn't even know there was a river in Moab. So it's kind of cool when they walk in and they're like, it's so hot, what we do, there's a river here, this is amazing. So I know you guys are kind of working on that to maybe make that better. And Moab really can be a river running destination. We have 3 really great sections of river: Westwater, the Moab Daly, and Cataback Canyon, that could bring people from all over the world to enjoy Moab in the summertime. Like to read a review we got today. Kenny was a great guide. We had a fun trip, a mix of paddling, floating, and even a little rapid swimming. Highly recommended for a family fun and adventure. Lastly, I feel that the Trip from Hell article was a smash piece, and Lizzie and the TI should be ashamed, as this is a tourist town and people live off of tourism. People have families to feed, and no one in this community wins when there's articles written like that about the town. The Colorado River around Moab is a tourist, repeat that. The is a tourist destination that my guides love to share with people. And I am grateful for the council with the help of sharing to the world how great it is. All I'd like to say. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
I know it's not a Q&A, but thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
It was interesting.
Thank you, Josh. Anybody else?
We'd just like to introduce ourselves. I'm Justin Ricks, this is my wife Denise, and we're with Magnus. So we're just here because we applied for some grants.
Okay. Sorry, you're gonna have to wait a little bit because it's a little bit further in the agenda, but we'll get there, I promise. Great. Thank you, Josh, for speaking today. Let's go straight into it. And one thing I did want to point out with the order of things today is I did want to change things up and put the numbers at the first. It seems like we're always, it's an afterthought. We're always kind of getting to the numbers at the very end, and we're tired and we don't have enough time. And so I wanted to make sure that Mick and the Moab Office of Tourism and that you guys have enough time to talk about what you need to at the beginning rather than at the end, and that we are able to go through the numbers so we understand where we stand with our sales tax revenues and TRT numbers. That being said, let's talk about numbers. So we have two sets of numbers in front of you today that Mick printed out. One of which these are the TRT, TRCCA revenue. This is the sales tax revenue that Gabe sends us every month, basically giving us an understanding of where we are now compared to year-over-year progress. The second one is what Mick put together, which is more of an overview of where we stand against projections and against budget. And I would just like to point out a few things. If you look at that first spreadsheet, that TRT is doing well. In May of 2025, it was 791. So we're up $284,000 this year, almost 36% over last year. The total sales tax revenues for May is up $377,000 from 2025. So it's up 22%. And then if you look at the numbers that Mick you provided, kind of a 5-month year-to-date, I don't think that's against projection, but if you look at the year-to-date total sales tax revenues, not just against budget or variance, but we're up almost $1.3 million from 2025 for the 5 months, last 5 months, which is almost 30%. And then year to date, TRT is up $687,000 or almost, it's 37%. So we are up pretty considerably, not just with TRT, but with sales tax revenues. There are a few caveats also, which I'd like to get to restaurant in a minute. I'll just kind of hold that off for a bit. But just so you know too, the TRT tax increase went from 4.25% to 4.5% back in October, but of this growth, that represents only 5.9%. So we're looking at TRT up for the year almost 30%, and only 5.9% of that can be attributed to the increase in the actual TRT. So the numbers are pretty strong. I'm really impressed. Now, one of the things that we have here, Nick put together against the projection. And so you see there as well in that second spreadsheet, how we're trending with what the projections were. So TRT for May, we're up 44.8%, almost 45% against projections. And then total, we're up 20.1% for total sales tax revenues. And then if you go to the year to date on this second spreadsheet as well, you'll see that TRT for the year, for the 5 months, is up 53% against projections. And then for the total sales tax revenues, it's up almost 30%. So, you know, if anybody would like to comment, I think that just This is an incredible showing. Obviously, there's a lot of work that goes on here from the Moab Office of Tourism, all of our partners. This board, we've had to make some hard decisions, the commission, and I just think this is an incredible win. I think it's a great victory that we're doing so well, considering, you know, where we came from.
And one of the things I could point out to you, Linda, as well, is this is the first time in 4 years that we've posted a positive quarter. I'll just let that sit in.
And
Four-
how long?
4 years.
Right,
This
what
was
does
the
that
first-
mean, a positive quarter? Because I think there are people listening who don't really get that.
Year over year, we actually have been on a slide down like that and taken by the quarters. Every single quarter over the last 4 years has been negative. So this is the first year, right, or the first quarter, quarter one of 2026 is the first positive quarter that Graham County has posted. And not just a little bit, right? I mean, we are talking about some significant gains right here.
Yeah.
You know, I think that the commission had talked about a 6% goal that we would like to see out of here. And I think that, you know, the work that, you know, the Moab Office of Tourism has done, like you said. And as well, don't sell this board short. The decisions that have been made at this board have really done affected change.
Well,
Right.
you, the commission, we present to you, and ultimately the commission also makes a lot of these decisions.
We have. But I really think looking at this is the first time where I really see that we are managing visitation, right? Rather than just having visitation happen to us. I really see that we have gone out and done some good in the world.
Jason, is there any way, we can get, I mean, we don't have a sense of what the cities do, or like what the city's TRT numbers are like, or what they're, so is there any way we can start to get that type of information?
Yeah, yeah.
Because then we can, and also the resort community tax, because both the TRT and resort community tax from the city, which you collect exclusively, well, the resort community tax, those are non-restricted. So just to kind of get another, so we can see, because the city's in the county and, you know, we rely on each other, but it would be really good to see what the city's numbers are as well, so we can start to just provide a full picture to everyone. Right.
And these are resort community, we're tied to like, almost like correlation with sales tax, like over the last 30 years, it seems like that number has been kind of 3%, right?
Is it,
Yeah.
I have to look up what the actual percentage,
Yeah.
like what the line item of it is, I don't know the actual percentage.
I just like it when things don't change for a minute, I can see that's consistent. Based on that, we've been paying 3% over the last 25
Right.
30 years, but it might have changed, but.
Well, it also correlates with, I mean, Arch's visitation numbers, in May, we're up 9%. They're up to 210,781 versus 193 in 2025.
where do you get those numbers from? It's
From the Arch's website, or from the
the
national.
May one's already at 2.8% as far as the vehicles coming in.
Oh, I just went by the webs, the National Park Service system.
Yeah, that's where I get my numbers too.
Yeah, I just got it today. I just got mine today.
Yeah, unless they changed them, because I just looked it up.
How about April?
And then,
about
well,
April was
considering,
11.
well, April was up 11.53% from 180,786 to last year was 162,090. And then,
I wonder if they changed those numbers, because I checked mine last week.
okay. Well, I know that they changed some because Candylands isn't published yet.
Mhm.
And Bryce had a really big discrepancy, so I called them and they said, we're updating that. So
Mhm.
Zion in May was down 1.2%, Bryce was down 5.5%, Capitol Reef was down 9.1%. And Arches was up 9% according to these numbers. But I don't know, what percent do you have?
I had 2.8.
Okay.
From 193 to 198.
Right.
But inside the visitor center, about 29%.
But considering the rest of them, Candylands isn't published yet, but the rest of them are down, so. You know, Washington, it's nice to be competing against, you know, some of these, that have these big Washington budgets.
know. But I shouldn't be competitive with other counties, because I know it's all Utah. But for so long, I have felt like Washington County was just kicking our proverbial bodies. with their investment in the visitor economy and in film and in all these places, it's felt so frustrating, and to have a little tiny win, I'm kind of celebrating that.
I'll take
like,
it.
that they're down. Well, I don't want them to be down, but I'm celebrating the fact that we're up for.
That we're thriving.
That we're thriving, and that the economy, there's more money in people's pockets because there are more people here spending money, and
It's amazing what happens when you value and invest in your economy.
and Washington County's been doing this and
Yeah.
just beating us up, and I'm just kind of glad. And I'll tell Joyce Kelly that. Getting a little win here, it's good.
One of the things I did want to question or just bring up though about these numbers on the draft, numbers that Nick put together.
This one here?
No,
Oh.
the second one,
Yeah.
that one there. I did have a question. I was talking to Alex this week as well. He's not here today. Alex, are you online? No? About the restaurant numbers being so down, and it just seems so, it's like such an anomaly because, these represent basically March visitation numbers. And that's not what many of the people I've been talking in the restaurant industry have been experiencing, but one thing I did want to point out is these projections seem to be really, I don't know, very strange to me. So the May actuals of 131,000 for total restaurant versus projection of 200,000. It's a difference of almost 70,000 or, 34.7%, but yet the projection of 200,000 is almost 40% higher than in 2025 actuals. Which I just don't understand why that projection is 40% higher, and then it's 141% higher than 2024 restaurant.
Which brings me to my question.
Yeah.
How are the budget projections calculated? Can you say that?
I can kind of get into that, because I have questions as well, Cora, all this talk like coming in of like shortfalls and things like that. The commission said that we were gonna keep a flat budget this year. So like looking at the general overall, like I have no idea why it's 7.6 million was the take for
Yeah.
TRT, like, cause last year we had budgeted 8.1 and we ended up taking in 8.3 million. So I don't know why we went from 8.3 million down to 7.6 when we were increased the tax by another 0.25%. Right, like that projection never makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe we invite Gabe here to the next meeting,
I think
just
that would
to
be
kind of like,
just,
maybe we can get a better understanding of it, cause I don't know where that came from.
yeah, because I saw
Yeah,
those TRT.
They're conservative, but at the same point.
Yeah, but I mean, I know he was saying flat, but obviously some aren't flat. I mean, the restaurant tax is up 40% higher than last year and 141% from May of 2024. So I'm just want to kind of understand, and if TRT was, we brought in more last year than was projected, and yet he brought it, I don't know, if it was supposed to be flat, yet he did the projection of under what we did. So I just, would be good to hear from Dave directly
Yeah,
about
we said
where these
flat at
projections are.
8.1, right? Why were we at 7.6? That
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. There's something that's happening there.
I realize that I have raised this question almost every month, but I'm so unable to make my numbers back in. We've combined car rental with UTV, which is two separate rates. And it's really not an accurate story when, like Jason one year, bless you for giving us the information, was mentioning that the car rental rent rental with short-term. These numbers don't back out for me in any way. It's very muddy. And so we don't want to tell a clear story because we're not taking a minute to do a couple more lines. I don't understand why that is so hard, but it's exasperating because how do I track what's going on in the county in my industry? How do you track what's going on in your industry based on the checks you write? I'm like, why can't we get another line?
I think for a more detailed view, we need to see the breakdown of each of the taxes. The restaurant tax really kind of struck an alarm to me because I'm a restaurateur. And, you know, the TRT doesn't really reflect what's happening within the lodging industry. And one aspect that might have that impact is the growth in vacation rentals and how people dine. Meaning they don't go out to restaurants. Instead, they go to the grocery store, which kind of tracks with sales tax too. So maybe that's an impact. And of course, we cannot see the details of that gross tax collection, which is always a flaw of, you know, looking at the top line before, you know, all the businesses operate from the bottom line. So again, it's just, again, something we should keep our eyes on because it's tracking way lower. And a lot of places raised rates too this year, which even adds greater concern. Because these numbers reflect an even bigger downturn in restaurant spending.
Well, I know, Felicia, you had mentioned too, that one of the top performer hotels you have is ones with kitchenette. So people are obviously economizing and trying to, but I worry about the projections of like why some are up so significantly and some are down. So if we can get Gabe maybe to the next meeting, and he can speak directly to that. So
We're talking about the difference of projections and what we've actually seen. What we're actually seeing right here is a large increase in taxes coming up. And I think that we're seeing that the economy is doing better today than it was 1 year ago and much better than it was 2 years ago.
Did you have anything to add to this?
I could just add, for anyone listening, you'll see differences in what Gabe provides, which is up on the screen now.
Yep.
Which starts in March and runs through February. And I mentioned at the last board meeting that I wanted to get this board an accurate financial snapshot at any point in time of kind of what's going on in the office and how taxes are being collected. Because as you can see, there are particular ways to understand it, and so to present this information in a way that you guys feel like you can leave the meeting if you know how we're doing is the goal. And so that's what this spreadsheet is. It calculates first any given month. So, and I present this as a draft so that if you guys will have any comments or you have requests, we can adapt and continue to report this way. But it includes a month reporting. So we can see here in May, we collected $2 million in taxes. I'm including projections because that's how our office budgets, but we've already kind of raised that. That's, we'll talk to Gabe about how he gets that number, et cetera. We could add in a column for year over year. So we could include 2025 and you can see how we're doing. But in the sense of tracking the budget, I've included projections and then a variance. And then year to date, the difference here will be that I've included disbursements. So this is taxes paid in January through May. And so this is what we've collected for the year, 5.6 million. Our budget year to date is 4.4 million. Our projected tax collection is 4.4. So we're up 29.7%.
And compared to 2025, we're up almost $1.3 million.
Right.
Okay, that's a big deal.
So I just wanted to point that out because I want to end on a good note and we've got some questions about projections, but that means more money in pockets of our people who work in. It means more money for workers and businesses and people who work in this town that hopefully go for labor.
And then I wanted to give you guys a snapshot of what our office is spending. So that if things happen in the economy or things change, or there's another pandemic, where we are financially, and we might have to make decisions. So you'll see actuals for May for 384,000. And what will be more important is year to date. So year to date, we've spent 1.2 million. Our overall budget for the year is 4.2. So we've spent 28.5% of the budget.
And I was talking to Mick about this, and it sounds like it's off by a lot, but it's not. It's just, there's a lot of big things coming up in the end.
We don't accrue expenses uniformly throughout the year. So we'll have some large expenses for paid media, for branding that'll be coming in. So we'll largely be on track for that
Majority of it.
And then I've also included film. Biga has a separate budget. Sorry. Need more Coca-Cola. Separate budget. So these are expenses for May again, and this is overall budget 323. This is expenses to date.
This is including salaries and health insurance for all both departments.
This is your budget.
Right. Just saying, it's not just the operational budget, it's including
salaries.
Yep, it's the film budget. So we talked about adding city. Jason, if, I didn't want to just throw the city on here without asking, but if we could have a line for cities and monthly disbursement and then year to date, I think like we said, that would help give an overall picture of the contribution to the overall tourism economy.
What date do you like? Oh, I'll give it to you.
Yeah,
Come up with a date,
I'll
but I'll
include this
try
in the
to
packet
Okay.
monthly. So I'll just reach out and make sure we have the right numbers.
Yep.
So we could add that.
Or if there's somebody you should be talking to or who that is, or, yeah, those things.
We figure out.
Wendell, could I just ask for a general, just for the public to understand all the various taxes that are collected by both city and county, to have a better understanding of just the impact tourism has on our economy? It would be, I think, educational for people to understand its impact.
Yeah.
So maybe like a little diagram at the end, little legend that says, okay, there's this tax, this tax, this tax. This
There is
means.
this at the bottom of Gabe's sheet, so I'm pulling it up on the screen here. But this is kind of what Lori was talking about. I think, Lori, you're saying these three taxes are different and they're getting lumped together, so it's hard to figure out. But this is a
That we're
slight
talking about.
explanation of.
This is county, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of-
And not to cut anybody off, we have a lot to get.
Yeah, we do. I have
So-
one more update that you wanted me to.
Yeah, yeah, no.
Which is our reserve fund. So we can talk more about this. It's another complicated issue. But as I understand it, we have 3.4 million in unappropriated funds with our current budget. As I said in the last meeting, you know, I can add reporting on this month over month, so you guys are always aware of what's in that reserve fund. But we also need to make some decisions around that keeping clear of the requirement to not hold more than 50% of what we collect.
What was the total on that real quick?
I can send,
Just if you can just-
it's it's 3,434,000.
3.4?
Yeah.
And that's not accounted for, I mean, yeah, that's not including all the spending that's going
Okay,
there.
keep going on.
Yeah, so that's, and I'm just starting to learn how the county thinks about this, but it's that we had a reserve. We have a reserve fund, we have a projection of what we'll collect, we create a budget. We decided to pull about $800,000 from that reserve fund. And that left us with 3.4 in the fund if we spend our entire budget. And then the statutory requirement based on that projection is $4 million. So if we collect more, as we are, we can buck up against these things and to not get into the nuances. But the important thing for the board is that I will start to report on this reserve fund so that you always know what's in it. And then we can keep an eye on holding too much.
And we had suggested talking to Dave directly about that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And we'll talk to Gabe about that too.
great. Any questions? We'll move on. Right, thank you very much. Thank you, Nathan, Alley, and Biga, and everybody, this board, and the commission for all your hard work. Next, we're gonna hear again from Nick, who's the director of the Moab Office of Tourism, to go through a bunch of things.
Directors report. So great, I bulleted out a couple things that our office is working on, just to give you guys an idea of some high level projects. Our co-op grant, the co-op grant is due tomorrow. This is our annual matching grant from the Utah Office of Tourism. You saw a presentation from Madden last time about the tactics within that presentation. And we're submitting that tomorrow. Camp 4 is here. Jessica from Camp 4 is in the audience. The team is here shooting our campaign, for our advertising campaign for the fall and next year. I included a very large project plan as an attachment to this item. It's most useful viewed in a digital format, because as you can see, even on tablet, it prints very, very soft.
I love a good Gantt chart.
You'll love this
Something close to my heart.
I'm with you.
So I'll just run through some of these quickly. You guys all have seen the brand positioning and messaging strategy, which we saw earlier in the year in January. We received visitor archetypes and kind of journey mapping, narrative execution. They've done a lot of writing around various topics. We're right in the middle of receiving our visual identity. So we got fonts and colors and new logo, and it'll be applied to business cards and presentations, etc. here is the campaign. So we decided on a concept and we're shooting that concept. So the team is here for 4 days. We're shooting Navajo Rock mountain biking, stargazing at Turret Arch. See if I can do this from memory. We are shooting the river. We're doing 2 shoots in arches at Sand Dune Arch and Delicate Arch. And there's more activities like OHV, Hell's Revenge, and Town. So, you know, one of the observations that we made through this project is that people show up and they aren't aware of all there is to do in Moab. So that last piece of in-town shooting, people come and they say they had no idea that all these amenities were here, hotels and restaurants. A lot of times people are on long road trips. So they're in much smaller towns and they come to Moab and they can have kind of a different experience. So we'll start to capture a little bit of the energy in town and kind of start to set those expectations so that when people are in the trip planning phase, they build in some more time. And then coming up, we're working on some environmental brand design that we're going to redo the kiosks and some other signage. The website will be getting a refresh with all those colors and fonts and updated messaging. And as you can see on the right here, we're into June, July, and then August. We're redoing our travel planners and outdoor adventure guides, so the printed materials. Our social media channels will get a refresh. And then we'll be getting all of the photo assets to build ads, which Matt will start placing here in the end of August. So it's a quick update on the branding project. There are lots of deliverables on this sheet. There are a lot more decisions that go behind each one of these things. But we'll be giving the board a full presentation on how this all came together and what it looks like soon. So that's branding. Any questions? I included an item attached or an attachment to this item on Madden's update for April. This board had a presentation for Madden on Q1 paid media results. Caitlin Green and Leslie Roval gave that presentation. They give us monthly updates. So that came in May for April. And I thought I would just attach it so that you all could.
If you guys have time to go through it, there's some really good insights there. Matt always does a great job of distilling things down into pretty simple ways to understand. So if you have time to review it, it's good insights.
Yeah. And one thing that came out of this was Caitlin was seeing a lot of uptake on our retired traveler audience. And as a result of that, we built in through our casting with Camp 4, we added a retiree into the person that we're taking pictures of. So that's just an example of how these teams are all collaborating, that we're taking insights and applying it to the creative work that we do.
The tiki actually is taking off too. The tiki, the chatbot thing is actually, there's a lot, they're being used quite a bit, a lot more than they thought.
Yeah. Our summer campaign was approved. This board approved that proposal last meeting. It went to the commission and they approved it. So we'll be rolling out additional late summer ads in July and August. And we are planning for 2027. So I have set up a series of meetings with Wendell and Brian to just kind of get the ball rolling on this office, how we organize it, what we want to do, and have some of those priorities in place so that when we enter into the budget season, we can start to budget for those things. So really high level, I'm thinking about KPIs and KBOs, tax goals, visitation trends, other sorts of goals that we might have, and then kind of back into that, so how we can start to address them. So just to let you know that is starting, even though it's started in May, but we're getting a head start so that we can be ready for September and October.
It might not be the appropriate place, but you said visitation trends, and I'm just curious how IPW went. So much of international is just iffy, wishy-washy. I would go to IPW, sure.
Yeah.
I'm just curious how we're.
IPW, for those who don't know, is the largest travel trade show in the United States. From international tour operators and people in that world attend. Allie and I went. And it was a really good show. It's good for us, yes, people with fully formed travel trade, like lines of business, you know, are noticing that international visitation is down. The way we're viewing it though, is that this function isn't completely built out in our office. So just showing up, and forming these business connections, starting to get information on how many travelers they're sending, will position us for when these things change, you know, geopolitical things, et cetera. We're ready to engage these partners and engage international tourism, which goes to, you know, as I'm thinking about how we set up for 2027, that late summer travel period that we see that dip in July and August, that's when European travelers are really traveling. So even though the United States may be falling out of favor with the travel in those months, we still have a lot of work to do in this office to get that function up and running. I'll be presenting on staffing later with some ideas about how we staff the global markets function and get people to come in those months.
Just empirically, I have not seen so many coaches in Moab for 6 years.
The
I
buses,
Could
yeah.
not believe from mid-April all the way through May. I don't know, I was so impressed by, they weren't coming to my business, but they were going everywhere. And it was really cool because I remember the days when I was then. It was cool.
These are the sorts of examples that when we say that tourism is happening to Moab, investing in in global markets, we can sort of influence those things. So if big bus tours don't work for our community and we prefer FIT travel, these sorts of things. Or we start to align, you know, buses with, you know, the hotels that can sustain the visitors, et cetera, is a reason to lean into this function as opposed to just letting it happen.
Right.
Without objection, I'd actually like to move item number 5 up to the next one, just because it's just kind of capitalizing on what you've been talking about, rather than go back and forth. Let's keep you going and go on and talk about the Moab staffing, the Office of Tourism staffing.
Can I do number 7? I want to get with Josh in my, after could I move it up on the agenda?
Yeah, you would just do that really quickly.
Yeah, the Colorado River update?
Yeah, we can do it now if you'd like, and then
I would like to
if
hear.
you'd like to.
Okay, yeah.
Capitalize on that, Josh.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I have to
So without
say-
objection, I'd like to go ahead and move item number 7 up to be the next item number 3. I'm sorry, I know that we've got a visitor here talking about the gravel guides, they can wait just a little bit longer. Yes.
Okay, so Wendell, I appreciate you calling me and asking me about this. I kind of have a similar story that Josh has, you know, I was called by Lizzie and when she talked to me about it, you know, it was like, she was talking to me about the low water, you know, things like that. And I was like, yeah, you know, we have a lot of different boats that we can use, but we're still running the boats. People are having a great time. You know, people are having a really good time with it. And it kind of seemed like the direction of that article pushed on, oh, they have great boats, they have smaller boats to use, and it's costing them tons more money in guide costs, you know, things like that were, you know, she asked me like, are you guys spending more on labor? Yeah, we are. You know, it's costing, you know, instead of a trip that's normally 4 guys, it's now 6, you know, stuff. But we're making these boats so that we're using the boats that give people the best experience, you know, and stuff. And it seemed to not focus on that. The article came out. I immediately got on the phone and or texted Doug, you know, and I was like, what's up with this, you know? And he was like, well, I wouldn't have made that the headline if it wasn't a direct quote in the article, you know? And I was like, yeah, there's a lot of other really great quotes that you could have used that were in the article, you know, besides that, and it was really detrimental. I then asked him to come on a river trip with us, you know, because with our company, because he'd done a trip a few years ago at like 70,000 CFS down Cataract Canyon. I'm like, hey, now we're at, you know, 10,000 CFS. Why don't you come do another trip, you know, or whatnot? And he couldn't do it. And it also lined up with the ribbon cutting of the North Wash boat ramp, which we've been trying to get going for 22 years. And I go, this would be a great way to do an article on the rejuvenation of Cataract Canyon and this boat ramp and talk about some of the great things, talk about great big beaches, you know, and how nice it is like on the river right now. He couldn't do it. tried to get someone from the Tribune to come and do it, and, in the end, no one came and, do it. So, in the meantime, after you and I talked, I sent an email out to the outfitters that I had emails for, you know, here in town, and just, hey, can you guys tell me kind of what's going on? This is what I have going on. What do you guys have going on with customer experience? Without a doubt, everybody that responded back to me was like, we are not having issues with people. People are not coming because of the water levels, you know? And somebody from New York, they're not looking at water levels. They're just looking at the experience, you know, and stuff. And, so we aren't getting negative reviews from guests. If anything, you know, during this time of year, we're kind of telling people like, hey, this probably isn't a great trip for your 7 or 8 year old. We're like, this is a great time for your 7 or 8 years. It's a great time for families, you know, doing these trips and the water is warmed up quickly, you know, and just trying to not even make the water level as a stopping point, because it's not, you know, I mean, it's not, it's a non-issue. You know, I very seriously doubt we will ever get to the point of the summer where we can't run, you know, or where we don't run, you know, on the back end of it, we may have to change some things around, but on the front end of it, people are still coming back and have the most amazing time.
Yeah.
So, you know, same thing, like our reviews are great, you know, it's the best time on the river, you know, so I think that, this should be, the water should just be a non-issue, and it is a non-issue, it shouldn't even be coming out there. And, so anyway, that's kind of what I have to report on. I hope that with the summer program, you know, that people are here during the summer to run rivers, you know, and to be on the river. And so that's, you know, everybody, all the outfitters that I've talked to have said that exact same thing. You know, they are telling people like, hey, if you want some of the biggest whitewater in North America, this probably isn't the year for it, you know. But Cataract Canyon's awesome right now. Westwater is amazing right now. The Daly's amazing right now. They're all really good right now. And the Moab Daily is a float trip. It's a scenic float trip. You know, that's what it always is.
One of the
You know?
most beautiful scenes.
And trying
And there are plenty of gorgeous beaches.
and trying to paint it as something else is just, you know,
The people coming from outside don't necessarily have something to compare it to, no,
Exactly.
they don't know the level. They're never gonna know what a
Yeah.
CP anything
you know, we
is.
as locals go like, oh, you know, White isn't like what, you know, but for everybody else, you know, we should be touting how amazing the river is and how beautiful such a show.
I was just gonna echo that. People are coming into the mix and say, yeah, we were on the river this morning. Oh, it was so beautiful. You know, we had a great time, and that's a lot of families that are coming in. I also just did the sunset or the Sound and Light show. Saturday, my brother, sister-in-law and brother-in-law were here, and it was great. It's, you know, I mean, we've been on it when it's higher water, but they had never been on it when it was, you know, and Mallory had told me when I was booking, she said, well, just be aware it's a shorter program because we can't go quite as far. Well, what happened, the river came up just a little bit that day, so we actually did go. Then the truck broke down, so they had to go get a new light truck. So we sat on the river in the dark with the stars. It was absolutely amazing.
I asked Jason to speak partly because, having, as Mick pointed out to me as well, this summer, we are promoting the Colorado River as a way to stay cool. This is part of our summer promotion. And to have an inflammatory headline, does not help our cause, does not help our city, does not help our county. And we've already written an official letter from this board to the commission regarding tourism reporting by, particularly tourism reporting by the Times Independent, and it just exacerbates kind of our frustration with that type of reporting. So I just wanted to counterbalance that reporting by the fact that hundreds of people, are paddleboarding, rafting, swimming in the Colorado River, having the times of their lives. And yet the focus was on the negative of that. So
We're doing 100 people a day.
Yeah.
And people are coming back in.
Yeah, just a couple quick things. So as this has happened, I've reached out to Sarah Murphy over at ABC and had an interview with her where we talked just about this exact thing with her. And then also challenged her, you know, in her report, she went down on a trip with Worldwide down through Cataract to actually report what is happening. Another conversation that I had in the last week was with the Colorado River Authority. with Amy Haas over there. I've been, just got appointed to that board. And was talking with them about, you know, that this is the time where we need to start having some of these conversations about what's going on in the West and what's happening with the drought. But that when we're talking about these things, that we need to make sure that we're not hurting people.
Yeah.
Because technically right now, you're never gonna find a better year to go do a Desolation Canyon trip. You're never gonna have a better year to go run a Labyrinth Canyon trip because they're releasing water out of the green, right? And we're able to go ahead and run on that. There's gonna be great flows down in Cataract for the whitewater because of those releases. I just went on a trip where I did the Ananas River, the San Juan out of Pagosa, the Arkansas River, and the Upper Colorado. And I guarantee you that every single one of those outfitters that are out there operating are looking at what we have here in Grand County and going, man, I wish I had a river that was still gonna be running in the middle of the summer. And we have a great opportunity here to capitalize on, you know, these great river trips that we've always been able to offer. So, I mean, I wish that the reporters were telling that story. You know, it's something that I hope that the Colorado River Authority brings to the governor. So as these drought declarations are coming in, that he understands that if we're gonna be having these conversations, if we're gonna be using media as a weapon, right, for sensational writing to push negotiations one way or other, that someone's looking out for the people that are being harmed by these conversations.
And when you ask people, oh, you just were on the river, how was it? It was awesome.
Yeah.
Apparently, they're saying apparently it's low,
Yeah.
but we are.
They don't know
They don't even know, to
Yeah.
Vita's point. It's like, apparently it's low, but we didn't know the difference. We thought it was green.
I mean, I was, again, I don't, the article, all very strong points. How many visitors are picking up the TI though, also? I mean,
A
it's
lot.
really a lot.
A lot.
We give them away free,
Do you?
they're at the MIC, yeah.
But it's also what's picked up in Google and SEO.
Yeah.
That's what my view is,
It's on Facebook.
from how Colorado gets done.
It's just surprising.
Well,
I have been getting calls about people, you know, wondering what the conditions are when, you know, they see this major drought conditions in the West. And I tell them the, you know, the exact same thing, like,
Yeah.
it's actually really great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, there's the sandy beaches, you know, you're traveling with your family, you're on a trip. Perfect for going paddleboarding, you wanna take a break, build a sandcastle, it's
Yeah.
kind of the perfect adventure.
Yeah, exactly.
Do we suggest the county put out a a press release that kind of paints a better picture than the journalists seem to have? I know we've done that in the past, you know, it's.
so Lizzie's gone, she moved back to Las Vegas. So.
When did that happen?
Last week.
You know, one of the tools that we do have, Howard, though, is we do have a budget for telling some stories through
Yeah.
social media.
Yeah.
And we could use some of that budget right now to go ahead maybe and get our next little story, because we just did one for Arches. I don't know if anybody saw that, just kind of letting people know how to travel on Memorial Day. Might be a great idea to use our next influencer or our next little social media buzz to go ahead and talk about the river.
Yeah, to Brian's point, I asked for this item to be added as well, because I read the article, I've been out and I was about what is going on. But especially given our new summer games, which does feature the river, I wanted to establish, some, plan for reporting through July and August. So that if things do change, we tell different stories, et cetera. I don't know if this board wants to ask Jason to continue to give those updates, but it would be helpful to our office to establish some lines of communication with outfitters, so that as we promote summer trips in the late summer, we can set expectations or pivot.
Yeah.
Is that something?
Happy to.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, honestly, like being out on a river trip on a sandy beach, camping at night, seeing the stars here is probably some of my favorite memories from 2020, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Right now, we should be camping up in the bushes and the bugs.
Yeah.
Like, those nice big beaches, it's awesome, it's amazing right now.
And then as things do develop, of course, we can issue press releases. We do have some content creator budget set aside for, we're really thinking of PSAs. So we did do one around Memorial Day that talked about visiting Arches during busy times. So let's watch the river, and if we do need to add a different perspective to the story that's out there, we can definitely do that. We're working in collaboration with Nat to produce those. The first one was successful. Check it out. But it's
I have some content we can work with to collaborate.
Great, and so if we can move on to move item number 5 now, to discuss the MOT staffing presentation from Mixletta.
Yes.
And so, Ellie, I'm sorry that I know they're waiting for the graphical guide, but I just want to capitalize on this and just get this done, so, yeah.
And maybe I don't have to talk for the rest of the meeting.
Uh,
So, I am thinking about staffing the office, this year and, in the future. I put in a request for an administrative assistant that went through HR, went to the commission. And I was asked, for a broader presentation on how, I see staffing the office going forward. To be presented in conjunction with this job description for an administrative assistant. So I thought I would present to you all first my ideas. I have 2 suggested motions in the item, which is item 5. And I'll just give you some context for those requests. Again, I'll start with a finance update. Review our org chart compared to other DMO org charts. Discuss this job description and then some other ideas about staffing. So first, the finance update. I've been feeling like there's misunderstandings about how this office is funded. Oftentimes when we see comments in the community about other expenses in the county, and then they see how our office budgets and spends money, they compare those things. The funding sources are different. So I started out with just a slide about how our office is funded. Our office is funded by TRT tax, that's hotel transient room tax collected at hotels. This year, the maximum legal amount of TRT was allocated to mitigation. The maximum that can be given to mitigation funding is 56% of the total collection. So this year, those projections are 4.5 million. And that's all to say that money is not going to the Moab Office of Tourism. That goes to mitigation sources. The minimum amount of TRT was given to our office, legally collected. That's 44%. And that
Just to reiterate, that was agreed to by this board.
right at the end of the year, the board writes a letter of their recommendation of how to divide those funds. That contributed $3.5 million to our budget. In addition, we pulled a little bit additional from the reserve, which made up our $4.2 million budget. TRT money can only be used for establishing, promoting tourism, recreation, film, and conventions. You guys have heard that a lot. That also comes up in commission meetings, but just a reminder that there are very strict guidelines about how to spend this money. And our office is overseen by this board, the Moab Tourism Advisory Board, which advises the commission on how to use tourism-related taxes. As we saw in our first item, overall tax collection is up 27% over projection. That's January through May disbursements. We've collected 5.7 million through May 2026. And that's an additional 1.5 million for the year. Also thinking that, as we make proposals to this board and the commission, that a financial picture to say, where is this money coming from? Do we have it, et cetera, is important for that context. In our budget, we budgeted 394,000 for salaries and budgets. That was largely carried over year over year from previous iterations of the office. And this year, with 2 staff members on the tourism side, remember Biga has a separate budget. We're projected to spend 146,000 in salaries and budget. Oh, excuse me, 248, leaving us with 146. Again, this context, so as we make staffing decisions, you see how much is left over. Do we have the money to spend this? Where will it come from? The proposed administrative assistant salary is between 55 and 77,000, with benefits of 35,000. So you can see that total of 90 to 112,000 fits within what's budgeted for 2026. Okay, so anyone who's been around me in the office, Vegan Alley, definitely heard this, a few other people. You know, I thought a lot about how DMOs are structured, and how our office is structured and sort of where we could go.
This is what Mick wants, all of that.
Yeah.
I know, yes.
This is what I'm asking. No, this is a org chart for the Utah Office of Tourism. It's a very standard DMO org chart in the sense of how it's organized. You can see leadership is here at the top. And it's divided into verticals, which I like to refer to as kind of levers that we can pull to try to get the results that we want. So when we talk about our KPIs and KPOs for 2027, you know, these different functions are ways that we can get there. Starting from the left, is sort of data report and analytics. This is the marketing vertical, so paid, earned, owned media. This is the global markets vertical, so international travel trade. Community relations, strategy, and then on the end there is film. This is our office. Yes, so same functions. Again, these are the sorts of levers that we can pull to get the outcomes that we want. With leadership, an administrative assistant position, which existed previously in this office, but is now vacant. These are, you know, more or less my responsibilities. Ally and I kind of do everything, anything and everything. One assistant marketing director, Ally is the other assistant marketing director. Our office did have a data and community relations support previously, which is now vacant, and then film, which Vegan covers. So as I said, HR, I put together a job description that was attached to this item. I don't know if people have the time to read it. One important note is every responsibility on this job description is happening currently. So this only supports what Ally and I do on a day-to-day basis. And so we really need this help.
I did take the time to read it and I did appreciate that somebody would be designated to take calls. That's one of the, I do that, but it's helpful to have other people in the community. It's one of the things that I've heard is a.
I thought some of these responsibilities might be news to people. I don't know, you know, that's something that, you know, we can evaluate, but historically, the Travel Council was an office that visitors would, as I understand it, would go to and ask questions. You know, that largely doesn't happen, but it still happens from time to time. They find the office, they come in, et cetera. We point them to the visitor center. We also pay the visitor center to staff somebody to help us with that function. But the phone is something that our office doesn't get any help with. So for now, that, you know, this assistant would help us with that. But all sorts of things listed on this job description are things that I felt like might be news to people that we're doing on a daily basis. And you know, when we're in meetings, you know, planning all of these things, and then somebody walks into the office, or we get a phone call about, you know, how hot is it in Arches today? You know, these kinds of things, it really takes time out of our day. And it's just one very minor responsibility across this job description.
What do you see as the biggest change asset this person will bring? I mean, when you and Ally are both at IPW, nobody's answering the phone, I'm guessing, because
Yeah,
there's
that's right.
nobody there.
Yep.
Okay, so you have someone answering the phone,
Right,
but what do you see as the biggest
yeah,
shifts?
for us. So as this slide points out, this person supports functions across operations, accounting and finance, government and board support, visitor relations, global markets familiarization, marketing, and film. Some of the really important things is for me is accounting and finance, as invoices and things come in, matching those to our contracts and tracking it as we go through the year. Those are things that, you know, I'm doing currently.
Special events marketing grant, probably.
Right, special events marketing grants.
Minutes for this meeting.
Yes.
There's all kinds of administrative things that are needed regularly, are very like discrete in the sense of, you know, these are tasks that take this amount of time out of every month, and having support to do that would allow us to do more across actual marketing. Good question.
I know you have number one, you need someone in that office. Number two is you have two different motions. One is for a permanent one, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And then the other one, I don't think we should try, I think it should be a permanent one right off the bat and not just for a year. You know,
Sure, I can get into
those
that.
ones when you try something for a year, it seems to like go to the
second one
wayside.
for another role.
It's, yeah,
The part-time one is for another role.
Right.
He has a specific reason why it's conflict.
So we can start with this one. This slide's reasons to approve. It's to fill a vacant role, handle tasks that are currently being performed by staff. It is in budget for 2026.
Okay, I'll make the motion.
Go ahead.
I'll read it right. Let's see. I move to approve the proposed full-time administrative assistant position within the Moab office.
I second that.
Seconded by Sharon, there's a motion on the floor for Cora to approve the full-time administrative assistant position. Any discussion?
Yes. I was just gonna ask, like, will this person be helping, if you say film in there?
Mhm.
So I know Biga asked for an administrative assistant and got turned down. Would this person be helping Biga with that stuff, or is that a separate thing?
I don't know, I wasn't involved with Beaver's request for administrative assistance, so I think that included other things. This includes what I've listed under film commission support in the job description.
Yeah, I read it as being included in the job description, so thought it was a shared.
Yeah.
Is that not correct?
So this job description, you know, is a draft of what we're proposing.
Cause cause this takes me to, item number 4, which I think is great. That if it's established an incentive fund subcommittee, you know, that if there is a TRT sub fund, that's gonna put a lot of more work on
Yeah.
Biga.
Right.
And should this position be full-time in either, do we need 2 positions, I guess is what I'm asking, you know, like, are we gonna be looking at 2 positions to, because if we do this thing, which could be this TRT, the film incentive fund, could be an amazing thing, but it would take someone to help manage that. as
I
well.
can answer it. Yes, part of, so the item number 4 is the, a motion to establish a subcommittee. With which we will talk about these things. So
Okay.
there's how the film incentive program will work, and piece of that is administration of the film incentive fund, which we've already addressed that we would need additional support to do. There are aspects of that. CPAs are required, you know, fielding all of the requests, these sorts of things. So today we're just establishing a subcommittee to review those things and permit our needs.
So then I would go back to, like, if we do this position, could one of the job, would there be time and room for this to help Biga out, you know?
Yes.
As part of that job description?
Yes, and it's in here.
Yeah,
There
okay.
are a couple aspects of it. It's mostly administrative stuff. So again, accounting, finance, and then we've talked the last responsibility under film commission support is kind of boots on the ground support when Peter's not available.
I think this is returning our office to what it used to be, honestly, with this specific position. That we've been missing it for a number of years, and therefore the effectiveness of our office. You need an administrative assistant. We've always had one in the past. Wayne Gisler had one, Marion DeLay had one, and quite honestly, those administrative assistants were some of the most effective people employed by the county. So I think we're just gradually making our steps back to where we were a few years ago. And I believe that the film commission should be an equal argument too, and this committee might lead to that. But right now, this is present. And I think this is a great idea and long overdue.
So the motion is, yep, Brian?
No, just real quick, I just want to point out that we're kind of walking on a fine line right now. Right, so remember, our job is to direct the director right here, trust the director's direction, right, and approve the budget. So we just want to make sure that we're doing that, and then I can talk about that budget when we were in budget discussions this year. And with Viga, we said that we wanted to wait and figure out and see once we had a director in here and see which direction he wanted to go. So once again, I would just kind of make sure that we're not overstepping right into the day-to-day operations. And I think it's great and we bring in, we all are very closely tied to how things operate in there. But once again, I mean, we got Mick here as our director and I, fully trust his vision right here. But I think what the commission wanted is they just wanted to hear what that vision was right here coming forth.
And to Ryan's point, Nick did not have to come to us for this request. That he is trying to follow protocol, come to our board and follow, would like our support on this. He could go directly to the commission
Mhm.
and ask for this and the commission can approve or not. And I commend Nick for trying to actually just, follow what he thinks and what we think is the right protocol, just kind of getting buy-in from us so that he can present it to the commission and say, IMTAP has agreed to this. So just letting you know that he did not have to present this to us, but he did, and I appreciate that. And there is a motion on the floor. Now, we don't talk, we had also discussed before, so we don't talk salaries, and this is more just we're approving a position. We're not talking salaries. I don't want to talk numbers. That's not our remit. I'm not an HR person. That's not any of us. So the motion on the floor is to approve this position. Was seconded by Sharon. All those in favor? And it is unanimous on the floor, right? Second part of that?
Second part of that. So. We talked a little bit about 2027 planning. As Brian noted, the commission asked for a little bit more of a picture of the needs of our office and where we want to take it. As I look to 2027 planning, I'm really looking at this data vertical, global markets, and a little bit of community relations. We spent a lot of time getting our marketing up and running this year. I think we're in a good place. We'll continue to invest in that. But additional support in these other verticals can help us achieve some of our strategic goals. So with that, also noting that my position is vacant. I'm thinking through how we can staff the office in a way that we get the support we need, especially in the immediate. So we're running $1.7 million on paid media right now. That's largely reviewed by me and Allie. I've been working with HR and, my ultimate request from the board and the commission is to approve a sum of money that could be used for contract temporary support that would help us manage paid media through the end of the year, help us roll out the new brand with new ads and set us up for 2027 without staffing someone full-time in perpetuity to do those things. I see some challenges with that. We're a small community. We don't have lots of digital marketing experience to the extent that we need. And so this would be a solve to get a very experienced person to help right away with these functions and then reassess this in 2027. So the ask is for some immediate contract support. And then, plan for that position, either in a full-time or a contract.
Mick and I were talking also, this is a role that there's probably not a lot of local expertise that is going to be able to do this. It's a pretty specific type of ask that we're looking for. We're looking for quantitative and qualitative type of review of some of the stuff we're doing. To make sure that everything is effective and the money we're spending is being spent effectively. And so that's where we're looking at a fixed term so that we can justify and have the appropriate type of expertise to do this for us.
So reasons to approve this would be to fill a vacant role, handle tasks that are already being performed by staff, and then to fund this, we would have to pull from the reserve account or an unused budget within what has been approved for 2026. But the presentation on what we have in the reserve and our need to spend it, also the amount of money that we're collecting doesn't raise any flags for me. In fact, we have an additional budget that we need to spend, and I think that this would really support the office.
And just really quickly, Shannon, you stepped out. The reason that this was more of a contract role is it's a very specific ask that we're asking of this person that is probably not local expertise that we'll not be able to address. We won't be able to find locally. And to do some quantitative and qualitative research for us to make sure that we're spending our money wisely and how we're spending it, and how how our ads are tracking, how everything is tracking. So that's why we had talked about potentially getting a contract role to say that.
Okay.
And a fixed.
But when I was reading this, I was thinking there were two options for the same.
Oh, okay.
System. As one temporary one,
That's what I thought too.
yeah,
We have a lot of work. to
okay,
do.
so now it makes sense.
Okay, Cora.
Yes, thank you. So you're saying that we don't have the local expertise. Are you going to work
We
with the
may,
hiring?
We may.
Well,
Yes,
we may,
which
yeah.
leads me to my next question, so, how are you planning to advertise this
Yeah.
position and seek this talent?
So I'm asking for a sum of up to $120,000 to find marketing staffing support. And after getting that approval from this board and the commission, I would work with HR to figure out how to do that. There are
So a
some,
portion, so I'm understanding a portion of that will go to actually marketing that position itself.
I don't think so, no. I think this will just be the cost associated with retaining the person. The question is, the county has issues with remote employees. So if we do post a job and somebody from outside of the county applies and is qualified, there are policies in place where we
Right.
can't have an employee be remote. And so it's opening up that can of worms. So it could be that there are things, the ways we could address it with temporary employment or we may have to, through the purchasing policy, get 3 bids on on a contract with the scope of work. Or go to RFP.
Okay, so you could advertise whatever the bid site
Yeah.
is called now.
Yeah, but right now, if I were to put this up as a full-time position, they would have to move to Grant County.
Right, I understand that.
Well, I want to make that
Oh.
known to, that's why we're pursuing it this way, is because I think, the amount of experience that would be most helpful to our office, may not be in the county or somebody willing to move to the county. And so I'm thinking through ways that we
Since you
could
do
get some
need to
staffing
fix this
support.
later.
Yeah, get some staffing support
Bill, it's
and then address it in.
And for us, we're so used to all of our partners, we work remote with. So,
Yeah, I'm not questioning that at all. I want you to get a qualified
Yeah.
applicant, so I'm asking. How do you wish to advertise this? If it's, through
Is there a
RFP,
budget
that's
to get it out there?
right.
And I have
Precisely,
to
like,
work
are
with
you
HR.
using the RFPs or bid site, or are you?
I have to work with HR. I'd love to
Okay,
just put up
yeah.
a job description and have people send us resumes.
Well, you can always
And
send
then
the job.
work with somebody
description to us.
remotely, but
Sure.
I don't know if that's possible. So to start, I'm just looking for support to staff. the
Laura.
office.
Okay, I always have to call out the obvious, this is probably obvious to everyone. Is this a sort of a check and balance on our investment with Matt?
Of everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's not unusual to have an in-house
Right.
point of contact for your big agency. There's a large volume, we're putting in a large volume of ads, that's everything from approving, but also tracking success.
Right.
So putting together sort of the organizational documents and maintaining that so that we make sure that we're getting the investment that we want. Also looking at the tactics, like as we, one thing I'm really thinking about as we roll out this new brand, what we have set up, I sort of view as always on. We're doing a lot of OTA advertising, Google search advertising. We could, with additional capacity or in-house capacity, we can come up with some additional tactics.
Okay.
Could be more creative, that person could kind of work with Madden to institute, to get our new messaging across. I mean, Madden will support that too, but yes, it will be the point of contact for.
And again, make us coming to us, like, out of courtesy again. So I would, welcome any motions. If there's any.
I think for transparency, just to show the community that we can either trust the incredibly good information that we're getting from the companies that we've contracted with, but I think for community members to say, hey, but where's the system of checks and balances? And I think that there's I don't feel that suspicion. I think it's a good idea to have that in place for your own integrity.
I think I'm thinking of more of this collaboration.
Okay.
Like, we have a really great working relationship with Madden, but the liaison between this board, the community, to make sure the new brand, to make sure that things are being instituted. we will be able to continue operating, but this would just help us do it that much better.
Discussion. Anybody, all right?
Yeah, I think we were very fortunate to have Mick in that position and have him moved into the director spot. But we do have to understand that if we're gonna, have this office move forward, we're gonna have to either backfill or find a way for someone to do the jobs that Mick was doing previously so that he can move forward and be the director. So I see this as, kind of his vision of how he thinks it would be best for him to move forward. And once again, for me, I would trust his leadership. Sure.
I move to approve up to $120,000 in marketing staffing support through spring 2027.
Second,
I'll second.
Alicia seconds. There is a motion on the floor to approve the up to $120,000 for the marketing staffing support, seconded by Alicia. Any discussion, further discussion? Howard?
Are we concerned about blowback about spending this amount of money, from what we've heard about when we put forward spending suggestions that it's kind of,
You know what, it has to go before the commission.
okay,
It's also, it looks like the money has been already budgeted but not
we
spent
have it.
because it's vacant positions, so it's accumulating, the way I understand it, it's like the money's there.
And it has to go before the commission, so.
And then Howard, just doing from our earlier discussions on the reserve, back of the napkin, literally paper right here,
Yeah.
right? We're at 3.4, right? You take the 800,000 or 860 that we had, that's gonna put another 378,000 right there. And we're going in, so that puts us at 3.7. If we continue on this, 4.1 is our cap, we're gonna be in trouble. So we need to be, and once again, we can spend down, these reserves will build back up.
Yeah. All right, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? And it is unanimous. Fantastic.
And
And,
I won't have any more time, or much more time, but the remainder of this presentation
okay, yeah.
is what's to come. So no motions or requests today, but to give you a sense of other things that I'm thinking about for staffing the office in 2027 is, like I said, global market staffing support. Ally and I have been observing this industry or this aspect of the industry, attending trade shows, and it's really its own sort of function. I look to peers like Visit Salt Lake and Park City that do this very, very well. They hire professional or long-term global markets professionals that carry out this aspect of business. Again, when we look at our KPIs and KBOs for 2027, I see global markets fitting really squarely in that encouraging July and August visitation. A lot of international people visit around that time. So an investment in this aspect of the office could almost purely go to encouraging visitation during those times. So I can give another presentation in the future, but just so that you guys know where things are going. Other support that the office could use is data and business intelligence. That's that first vertical on the org chart that I showed you. But to really get a better sense of who's coming to Moab and where they're coming from. We have our public dashboard. It's good, it's getting better with Madden's help, but more insights into what our tourism economy is, what food we're leaving on the table, aspects of travel and visitation that we can go after to tell better stories and encourage visitation are things that our office could better understand to make better decisions. And that is my presentation.
Great, thank you, Mick. Next we have visitors, and just so you guys know, I'm moving yours up in a minute, so you'll be next. So you don't have to listen to too much more. Sorry, the next one is the gravel night update with Stephen Vanesky and Ally Hartford.
Yes. Okay, so we have been working on the gravel adventure field guide. This is still a massive trend. We actually just got an email from AAA who's gonna feature Moab in their fall issue as a gravel biking destination. And this is even before our guide is out. So the first draft design is attached to this meeting agenda, and you can look at it. And then we have our routes. We've been working really closely with the BLM on all of those. And we're excited, and Stephen and Juan are here as well. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves and then just talk a little bit about the project and our timeline, Stephen, that would be great.
Hi there. I'm Stephen Beneski, with Juan de la Roca. I think there might be a lag with my camera.
We can see you.
Cool. So we've been working on this for the past few months, and we're scheduled to go to print in August and then be delivered the beginning of September.
Yeah. So we're
Yes.
excited.
Yeah, this is our 25th edition. I think you guys as a team have probably reviewed some of our other books. There will be 10 routes in the book altogether. We did a pretty good job of distributing routes throughout the region. We have some stuff starting and ending in Moab, but we also have some stuff going to some pretty iconic destinations around Brown County, including the Schaefer Trail, Horse Thief Mesa, Onion Creek. And then we also are going to be highlighting a route that I think has a lot of potential for you guys as a destination. And that's the Golden Gravel route that was produced by the Adventure Travel Association that goes from Green River to Moab. And it'll be a route that is able to be ridden from Moab to Green River as well as back, but it could also have implications for future potentially shuttle services, also the ability to use the bus to take people out there. So we're really looking at this as something of distributing visitation throughout your region, but also giving some folks some variety. We definitely understand the role of mountain biking as well that it's had in Moab, and this is just a piece that extends off of that and that enhances and gives you guys a little bit more reach in the cycling community. Thinking about numbers, I've heard a lot of numbers thrown around. It's interesting. I just came across research recently that was talking about how bikers tend to be the highest spenders when they visit your destination, especially around the Manatee South National Forest. I think it's about 13 million a year. This was in 2022. And gravel is continuing to grow. So this is going to help you protect that visitation, enhance the dollars that are coming in through that. And as Ali mentioned, with this AAA story coming out, the timing on this is really good. And I think you guys are going to be really excited to see where this all goes.
Do we charge a fee for this book?
Yes, it was approved back in February.
No, I mean, do you give it away?
Is it free
or do
or-
people buy it?
Sorry. Yeah, we get 300 copies, I think, Stephen, which they'll distribute, and then people can buy them online as well.
Wait,
Yeah.
Stephen, could you review the number of books that are printed and where they go?
We're printing 24,000 field guides. And
Oh.
then there's a distribution plan for 130 plus bike shops within Front Range, Utah, Texas, and your targeted destination communities. And 7,000 books will be distributed. 7,000 books will stay in Grand County, and we'll hold on to 1,500 and do online sales for people outside of that free distribution zone.
So we'll get 7,000? Is that what you
I
said?
think maybe 6,500 or 7,000 books come to you.
So we can give these
These are
away as
helpful.
swag and gifts. We can also give some away to local shops. But,
Yes, they'll be
what-
free.
that was-
They will be free at bike shops. There'll be, if there's a visitor center a station, sometimes some destinations have them with visitor centers, but mainly we distribute through bike shops.
I actually brought the gravel guide to LA from, was it from Ela? Ely? Yeah, so I was so impressed with the one from Ely and then looked you up and saw the other ones. And I love the way you approach things and just really impressed. Now, I think that if, because the draft is attached, if you guys have a chance, just look it over. If you have any suggestions, I would suggest you reach out to Ali if you have any,
Send me an email.
particularly with regard to any, concerns that you have or questions about images or wording or anything, just talk to Ali directly.
The best thing would be if the board emails Wendell and Wendell. That's
Okay.
You ever have questions about anything, it's
Talk
best
to me. I will forward.
Nice try, Wendell.
He did attach the draft so that you can see
Yep,
it in
exactly.
advance. It'll be printed in the fall, so now's the time, the best time to weigh
Yeah.
in. There's a lot of really great content in there.
But yeah, I love
Make
it.
it available to you and to the community to comment now, send questions.
Yeah.
There
Great.
was one thing that I wanted to flag for the board on page 15, gateway versus destination. I know we talked about that extensively before, but
Page
So tell us what are you seeing in the book?
on page 15 of the book.
15. 15, the community. Oh, yeah, community.
Well, that's another one, but.
That's another one.
Oh,
Next
you're
slide.
saying how we refer to Moab as a gateway town to 2 national parks? And you're saying like we
A
should refer to it
destination
as
versus
a
a gateway.
gateway? Sure, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, comments like that are really helpful.
But yes, also community. I have a couple of others, but I'll email you. So
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I know what to think. This is a draft.
This is this draft.
On a positive note, though, I did really enjoy the nod to the history and the culture here. Little bit of safety in there, of course. And then the stewardship and the different birds and the little note that was in there already to add some color to those birds. So I do appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how gravel biking and starting to talk about the history of our roads and our motorized routes and how bikers are using these can start like really tying people together.
Yeah.
The BLM and I have already talked to a couple other destinations around the country because people are looking at Moab as a really good example of motorized communities and other users like using the same roads and how they keep each other safe and work together. So
When you guys work with some of the biggest, with all of the mountain biking, you've got Fruta, you've got Northwest Arkansas, you've got all the big ones. So
Yeah.
it's good to be a part of this. Thank you.
yeah.
But you're the special one, 'cause you started it all.
Yeah, so true.
I do have one quick question on road maintenance. I've been following Grant County, who was talking about some washboarding and roads and thinking about the gravel roads that people will be traveling on. And curious if there's any communication with you and the road maintenance in pertaining to Sand Flats Road, because it does see a fair bit of traffic. And on their communications, they were saying how they're kind of low on budget to get mag chloride, and they're not sure what their maintenance schedule will look like, but they just graded it and it's in good shape. I'm
Yeah.
curious if there's
I think
County-
this question has a very long answer, Stephen, and we'll have to get into it later.
No, I just wanted to bring it up
Yeah,
while
that's
I'm going through the
grading.
room, because the roads are
Yeah.
fantastic. And I just saw something on social media where they were talking about road maintenance. I just wanted to
Yeah.
bring it up for Sand Flats Road.
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
Yeah, we can get it.
There will be a
Um,
new draft of the book in a few days that we'll be sending over to Ally. She sent a first round text revisions. And the colorized pieces that are all falling into place with some stuff that was approved. So there will be later this week a new draft coming out, and it'll probably be dated on with Thursday's date. So if anyone's curious for an update, that will be coming down the pike very soon.
Well, thank you guys
All
for
right, thank
coming.
you.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for inviting us. It's really great to collaborate with this team. We're really looking forward to the launch.
Yay.
Thank you.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, have a
I
great
am
evening,
also
everyone.
moving.
Bye.
Okay, next item on the agenda, I am moving, if you don't mind, agenda item number 8, special events marketing grant up, so that we can have some visitors in the galley here, if you're able to leave. You've been sitting patiently waiting, I'm sorry. If Ally, if we can move that up, that would be great. And let's have the board a little bit. So Sharon and Alex and I were on the subcommittee for round 2 of the special events marketing grant. And that closed on, for background, that closed on May 31st. And what is on the screen now is a list of all the applicants. The ones with, in the far column that say funding recommendations are the recommendations from the subcommittee that those be fully funded on the amounts that were requested. And those include the Amasa Trail Race, the Arches Ultra, the Canyonlands Half Marathon. Well, you can read it there. Dead Horse, and my computer's frozen, so I can't read it. So yeah, there we go. And
Red Hot.
yes, so all of the Mad Moose events, Crystal show, the Outer Bike, Running Up for Air, Scouts on the Rocks, the Celtic Festival, and was the John Wayne Grid Series on there? Yes, that was as
Yeah.
well. And the Woven in Paint exhibition. We had a few questions that we will discuss with this board for the rest, but I would entertain if there's any questions about that. Now, one thing, we did have some questions that were brought to us, and we had, considering that Moose, have a lot of events, asking for a lot of money. But we also, as a group, discussed the impact that those events bring on Grant County and the number of people it brings in and the after effects. So many of the people that come to these events that I would Sunset Grill, they have first time to Moab, didn't know about it, tell their friends they want to come back. And when you look at the amount of marketing we would have to get to get that number of people to come to Moab on our own, it would be significantly more than what's on offer. So our opinion was that many of these events are incredible. Now, when we weighted them, we looked at the time of the year, how many people they're going to be bringing in, what they're asking for. So if you have questions, our scoring is on there on each one of the events. And please feel free to ask questions. Alex is not here, but Sharon and I are. Yes, Felicia.
I need to disclose that Vista Host has partnerships with most of these organizations.
Jason.
No, thanks for doing this. I know what it's like to do this and
What's that?
good job. I know what it's like to.
Yeah, that's right. You're around one.
Can I make a motion?
You may.
I think the move to approve 73,156. Especially that's marketing grants for the events numbered 1 through 12 on provided handout.
There is a motion on the floor from Jason to approve the funding for the items listed 1 through 12 from Amasa Trail Race down to the Moab Museum. I have a second from Cora. There is a motion on the floor. Any discussion?
I just wanna confirm that it's still, all of these events are directly tied to marketing.
Yes.
Yep, we looked at they had to provide marketing, their marketing proposal. And
That's
even-
why there's some discussion on the next one.
We did, yeah, that's why we're discussing the next few items. And the museum did a very detailed on how they're marketing outside of Moab to bring people in, just say that. Any further discussion, Brian?
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to attack a different section of the funnel. Like, right, to go after these kind of markets for our office, we just would never have the time to be able to go out and to do this. So I think this is a great idea. I'm excited to see this looks like it's becoming more competitive.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can keep this rolling.
Yep, and to Mad Moose, some of your events, they're intense. Got some really intense ones, so anyway, if I haven't had 2 knee surgeries and shoulder surgeries, I'd be back doing it. I used to do triathlon, so anyway, the motion is on the floor. It's been seconded. Any other discussion?
I did want to just highlight Celtic Festival placing local or ads in hotels to help extend the stay. I thought that was a good use of that and to kind of use local advertising companies, but also being able to reach out guests while they're here to extend their stay. I thought that was great.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay. Okay, we got one abstention and we have, yes, Howard.
No, I'm voting yes.
Okay, yep. One abstention, okay. The next discussion items. The reason we have these for discussion, let's just go specifically to the first one is, we already did that, is the Pints for Parks. It's going to bring up their application.
Yeah.
To their marketing. If you scroll down to their marketing, We had questions around the eligibility for contract services as an allowable expense and the cost of printing flyers. So this is a board discussion. They are requesting money for contract services. For, what does it say? You scroll in, it might be.
For ad and design work, 3 months of contract services to an ad agency.
And player.
So, and so we had questions around what is allowable in terms of that, because we pay Madden as a contract to do our marketing for us, but that was the discussion for this board.
Just sticking back to the previous board where they did not allow creative, I think that this would fall kind of under that creative right there.
Big market.
Yeah.
All right, and then so if we subtract that amount then. And then was there a cost for printing of the flyers as well in this one, or?
Yeah,
not?
740.
Is it in the same line?
No, it's, well,
Is this-
two,
okay.
there's print flyers
Okay, yeah.
and then
And
an ad flyer.
Is that an allowable printing of them, of flyers? That's my question. That was our question on a few of them, actually, so. Is that an allowable expense in our opinion as a board, as a marketing expense?
Where are the flyers going?
What's that?
Where are the flyers going?
Wasatch Front and Grand Junction.
Yeah.
I think it.
So is it,
Is
when you
it-
say the printing of it, you mean? the-
Physical printing of their creative.
So you're not paying, we're not talking about paying someone to print it, we're talking about what
We're paying like,
printer is
I'm
costing.
assuming it's paying Candyland's Copy Center or whoever, like,
Yeah.
for printing.
Directions, your directions are pretty
So,
concise.
yes, they
Yeah,
are, but they're not.
print flyers have been funded in the past.
Yeah,
We're
doing that for other ones
You-
too.
Well,
Do you guys have those?
Well, I'm saying that,
Yeah.
just divide that and if they're distributing them, whether it's in the local hotels or like Wasatch Front like that.
You do a newspaper ad, being printed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
You do a
yeah,
newspaper ad.
we're
being
allowing
printed.
print, yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess what we're saying here is on this application, they're asking for how much total?
For $740 for print
And
flyers.
we are looking at taking out the contract services.
Yeah, so minus 600.
Yeah.
I did
Actually,
wanna,
minus 300. Because it's half.
Oh,
before you
Good
do that
point.
math, that number I think is incorrect, it's on the spreadsheet versus what is in their application. It's 3,170 versus.
That's what they requested.
yeah, typo. Okay, so
gotcha.
70. Well, I guess they still requested 170, but then you guys would recommend doing that minus 300. Right?
Minus 300. That'd be 2870.
Yeah, she's fine.
It says funds may not be used for event programs, infrastructure, venue banners, or signage.
Yeah, so that's like.
Prize money or
At the, so
compensation.
at the event, you can't pay for your banner,
But
but this would
like-
be flyers posted in Grand Junction.
I just wanted to bring up the direction
yeah, no,
that you set,
Yeah.
so that you could.
Yep. This will come up
Again,
again.
against,
So,
Yeah.
do you mind bringing up, it's just on your.
so we have decided just to go with the contract services. So do we have an amount that we would like to potentially?
It'd be 2870.
We can either do this as a motion, or we can do the rest after we adjust them as one motion. So should we go through and adjust all four of them?
Yeah, let's
What's
adjust,
that?
let's adjust them all and do one.
Yep, okay. So we've decided on that one. The next one is the C10 Red Rock Retreat.
That one is, they travel to out-of-state towns, out-of-state show.
There's also a back photos.
Few of them. We have, is postage an allowable expense? We as a committee decided that the website expense was not an allowable expense because that was too broad and it made it seem like it was just for generic website maintenance. We weren't sure, so we suggested that was not allowable. We wanted more information about photography expenses. Is this for this year's promotion or is it an allowable expense?
Yeah, how I read that is they're gonna take pictures this year for next year's.
Yeah.
Which It wouldn't be, they wouldn't be spending that this year.
Yeah, we
said
decided last
I
time.
decided last time no.
So now,
Okay, so we know that, that's a good one to know, and then, we got that one clarified, and we suggested as a board, as a subcommittee to eliminate the travel expenses as a not allowable marketing expense.
Okay,
So if we eliminate the website, eliminate photography, and eliminate the travel expenses, if you could do the math on that, and then we can
yes.
have a total on that for the budget. Okay,
What's 750?
75.
Postage, can you read, what do you wanna take out, postage?
postage, oh yeah, postage was something we were asking, is that an allowable expense?
Can you read what you wanna take out?
Is it somewhere was postage?
Postage,
Yeah,
photography and website,
yes, and travel.
and then flyers is in there too.
But flyers are allowed.
We allowed it, okay, yeah. So
But we're still-
19,500 subtract 750 for postage, 1,500 for
Well-
photography, and 750 for website.
But in,
It's 15,500.
Oh, and also,
And then we go and travel,
which was 2,500.
brings it down to 14,000.
Divided by two, it's 7. And C10 is a great event. I mean, like it brought in, I mean, in terms of the people it brings in,
Yeah.
it was rowdy. I mean, that was rowdy.
So how much did you say?
Divided by 2 would be 7,000, would be the match.
okay,
So
so
they'd
down
be-
7,000.
Yeah, they're asking for 7,000, a total of 14,000 without those things.
And we definitely don't want to fund the postage, even though it's part of the distributing. I'm asking a question.
Yeah, that was my question. That's whether or not we allow that as an allowable.
Stan,
Maybe make a
we just
motion.
Put it, yeah.
That could be helpful.
What's that? And you're learning.
I know, when we were discussing it, we were wavering on the postage.
Yeah.
Because it, I mean. If you have marketing materials that need to be mailed.
Yeah.
Then,
I feel like that should be included, but that's.
Pardon me?
she thinks that should be allowed.
I would,
Yeah. Postage should be allowed. For the distribution of the marketing materials.
Distribution, I mean,
Yeah.
if you pay for market, newspaper ad, you pay for the distribution of it.
Right.
As long as it's not sent to someone in 84532.
Okay.
Second.
You're adjusting it?
Okay, so it'd be 70.
How much?
Okay,
7,375.
7,375?
Yes,
okay.
because that's like,
Next one we had questions about was Moab on the Rocks, and it refers to both events, Moab on the Rocks and Moab Bike Fest, the exact same marketing, on each of these, the questions are the same for both. And the questions again were about paying a photographer to take photos of the event for future promotion. We decided previously that was not allowed. And,
The market.
I have my notes here. We suggest eliminating the request for ongoing meetups and presentations from their eligible expenses. So taking away photography and the meetups and presentations. Does everybody agree with that? Okay. So whatever that would bring to each of those, both the Moab Run the Rocks and Moab Bike Fest, it's the exact same marketing. I don't know what the asks are.
It's 5,800 total on those things.
Yeah.
And 2,900.
I would have liked to see more description on what the presentations were, because I think that if like we're like at IBW, that could be, or even something similar that may give more cost,
When you
but.
read the rules, it's direct advertising costs.
Yeah.
So, I think that's what it's.
okay, is that what you got?
Yeah. And the last one?
All right, do we have a final,
Photographer in it.
so we have final numbers?
You wanna just read that out?
Yeah.
Or
Let
also,
me just look at the-
she also took out, for the next one, Ally also took out
Oh,
For
the
Bike
similar
Fest.
to their request was.
The I think.
Similar,
It's the same company.
Yeah,
I think it's
same,
very
yeah,
similar.
same
Yeah.
budget, 1,500, 2,500. Cool. Yeah.
And I think this helps for any future funding because we have more clarity on what we all put in this.
Yeah, or should we take all these discussions?
Yeah. Okay.
we scroll over just in here. If somebody wants to make the motion.
Yep.
With, if you scroll over to the reference numbers.
Oh, yeah.
So we're talking about 13 through 16.
Yep.
And then the amounts are,
Anybody would like to make a motion for the remaining four events? For the
What's the
special-
amount?
The events are pints for
No, just the amount,
13 through 17 are the amount.
just highlight.
oh,
So intimidating to do in front of all you guys. Being sweating event.
Come on.
Okay, Ally, you got it. You got it. Okay, there you go.
16 to. Sorry.
so there's a recommended motion too, you could fill in. Yeah, I have to be like.
There's no-
What's that? I'll make a motion, okay, perfect. I'll make a motion. I move to approve. $16,295 special events parking grants for. Friends of Arches to Canyonlands, Utah City Camp Club, Trans Rockies, as discussed and put into the marketing Excel sheet.
Do we have a second? So we have a second from Howard Trenholm. Any discussion? All those in favor? One abstention and Sharon is absent. So we have enough people wanting to this event. Okay, let's move on to item number 4, which we moved around. Moab Film Commission, Film Fund presented by Commissioner Martinez. I'll pass it off to you, sir, and Vega.
Yeah, so.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Don't worry, thank you.
Yeah, following up on the presentation that Virginia gave us at our last meeting, kind of had the idea of what could Grand County do to help support more film coming in. And we had a discussion with Virginia and Derek about creating a film incentive from Grand County. Now, it's done in a couple of different places in a couple of different ways here in Utah. I think Washington County has one. Is it Park City as well? Park City also has one as well. So as we kind of discuss which way we want to go, there's two routes that I think that are most promising. One would basically be that we set an amount, we set what the guardrails are, and we say, okay, let's go ahead and do that. The other is that we could do like a TRT reimbursement, which seems quite a bit more complicated, but it's something that's also being done here. Anyways, I thought that we could go ahead, get a subcommittee started, and then bring Derek, who's been working inside of with the, was it Utah Tourism Film Department?
Utah Film Commission.
Utah Film Commission.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's been there 19 years and basically has been working on this incentive program with the state for all of those years, so.
So taking some of his knowledge and then
Yeah.
seeing if we can't get something here that might be able to help us out. Is there anything else you'd like to add on that, Bina?
I just want to say that if this idea has been, I mean, I've been doing what I've been doing close to 11 years now, and there has been an incentive to the state. I travel the world, I travel the country. And the first question, I take phone calls and all constantly for potential jobs. And the first question I get is, what is the incentive? Across the board. The state has been dealing with it for all this time. You heard what Virginia said. We had 12 million, we're down to 3. If Moab, Grand County could put together something, it would be like best thing since the invention of popcorn. You know, to me, personally, or something. I mean, I love this idea. I love that the thought process is happening. I think it's gonna take a lot of finagling and working out the logistics of it, because I haven't been running a film incentive program. in my office. But I love the idea of putting together a subcommittee and having this discussion and seeing that something that can move forward and start, as soon as trying something out as this year if possible or in 2027. But I just thank Brian for bringing it up in a meeting, and with the extra money floating around, I think it's a good time to figure out, all the bits and pieces. Derek and I already started, we have a proposal already drafted with a lot of the details, so a subcommittee can immediately take a look at that. And I think that,
Just one more.
Jason said, administrative, that's all stuff that we can figure out. I would be handling a certain part of it for sure. I'm not a CPA, I'm not a contract person, I'm not a lawyer, there's a lot of other parts that I can't do on top of the job that I already do, just trying to bring things in. But we were talking about certain times of year, primarily bringing people in, which often happens anyway, when it's low in tourism. But I think that I don't want to make that promise, because we could be giving up on something that could be a great thing at another time of year too. So anyway, lots of bits and pieces, but I'm really excited about the
So
potential.
the idea was basically started. I wanted to make sure that we have the board involved. You guys kind of come up with the idea, so it's your idea. You guys are carrying this forward. The one thing I do want to just mention though is we do have a great partner in the state with this. And I think that's gonna carry us a little bit further. So I think that, whatever money that we're putting in here, I think we're gonna get great value out of that, because not only will it be Biga out presenting this, but when Derek's out of the shows and talking to folks, he'll be mentioning, oh yeah, and in Moab, right, which does put us a step above quite a few other places here.
Yes. And I have many other tentacles to do that outreach with as well. The Location Managers Guild International, Association of Film Commissioners International, Deadline, Hollywood Reporter. I mean, there's so many means once something like this is established to get the word out. I have zero issue with the social media part of it and the marketing part of it. But I think that the only thing that can't happen is the Utah Film Commission cannot run this.
Yeah.
And again, that will be with the subcommittee, but it could be stackable with what the Utah Film Commission has if they accept a project.
Use everything.
But also in terms of the money, if they're getting 20% because they're shooting in rural Utah, or up to 25%, then we can give them an additional, because they're shooting in Grand County, and I have all this list of what else is involved and what could be used to give them, a rebate back. So anyway, that's the gist.
Awesome. Yeah, Nick has a suggested motion to have a subcommittee with Commissioner Martini, who's been working with the state, Metzler, who, well, I don't know if I already got it, but.
That's nerve.
Metzler, I don't always say it wrong, sorry, I always say it, I don't know why. Mixler, myself, and if we have any volunteers to be part of this subcommittee, if we in fact vote to have one.
It'd be up to 3 members.
What's that?
What's that?
I said it can be up to 3 members.
I was going to make a motion first. Okay.
Yeah, just let you guys know that you guys could have up to three members on this board.
Can I ask a question? The people who are not here, but who might show interest in that, but are not in that board members, is that something? And would you be voting on the subcommittee today, even though Alex and Rebecca and whoever else is not here, they might show interest in being on that subcommittee? So I just.
Does the subcommittee have to go to the commission?
No, I mean, the subcommittees, the way that I saw this is the subcommittee is gonna hash out all the deets, right? So they're gonna come up and they're gonna say, hey, this is kind of what we'd like to see. They'll bring that back to this board right here, and then this board will say yay, nay, however that works. But there's a lot of details that kind of need to be ironed out, and that's really where I saw the subcommittee at.
So can we involve somebody who's not here?
I mean, I don't know if you guys wanna volunteer anybody, but you guys can do it however you want.
Last time we had this issue, Stephen Stocks said that we were not able to do that.
Okay, then yeah, then I would stick with.
Or that weren't participating remotely.
So we can move to approve the people that are listed and offer others to join at a later point.
Yeah, you could probably make another vote like in your next meeting.
Howard has comment.
That's fine, yes.
Or do you
I
have?
move. Establish a film incentive fund subcommittee made up of Commissioner Martinez. Include you.
Metzler.
Appreciate if you would.
Ms. Menner. Mr. Saletta and Mr. Williams, and any other board member that could volunteer to be part of it.
Up to 3.
Up to 3.
Wow, volunteer.
No, up to 3.
Well, Wendell's.
There's a motion on the floor,
There's 9
and
boards.
oh,
Motion.
is there a second? Did you do the
She
second?
would like to participate.
Okay, yeah. We're still looking for.
Howard, could you include Lisa in the, she would like to participate.
Amend your motion.
Amend your motion so that.
And okay, so we've got a film set, one subcommittee made up of Commissioner Martinez, Ika Metzner, Mick Soletta, Wendell Williams, and Felicia Beatty. To form a proposal to use TRT funds for a film incentive program.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a Cora is seconding. Any discussion? Any, if the motion is on the floor, all those in favor? Okay. And we're moving along, we're getting there. So we are going on to item number 6. I know we've moved around a bit, but we tried to accommodate people who are here. The Moab Holiday Festival, special event and PR activation presented by Commissioner Martinez. Yes.
Yeah.
Martinez.
So
Commissioner
I
Martinez.
think that everybody enjoyed last year. It was a great success, I think, of, you know, both, you know, there's 2 things with it. A, I think it's great to do something for the locals to where, you know, people get to really be proud to live here and have something special to go out and go see. But also it is a very important time to stay top of mind in market. You know, that November, December time is a time when people are buying those longer vacations. So we do want to make sure, you know, at least in my, previous experience, you know, families get together at Thanksgiving, they talk about where they want to go. And then prior to Christmas time right there, they're saying, all right, next year we're going to be doing this for spring break. And so being top of mind right there, I think is a great time to be in market. Last year, it was $50,000 for the lights. I think this year, I'd like to see maybe even a little bit more than that, light up a couple more of those trees down there. There also, I don't know if anyone got a chance to see the drone show, that Jeep did last year. Or I'm sorry,
This year?
Yeah, this year. We got a quote for that and it could be anywhere between $30,000 and $50,000 to do that. I thought that would be really neat to do something over the Colorado River, especially everything that's happening right now with the Colorado River, and just draw some excitement to the lighting of the bridge. We can have someone to do the promotion of the event, right, for the actual event itself. We got a quote of about $10,000. And then the PR activation of that, we had about $60,000 somewhere inside of that. So what we're looking for is anywhere between $150,000 and $175,000 for the Christmas holiday festival. I think last year we spent about $150,000 between the activation that we did and the lights. So we're still somewhere in that same budget.
I don't mean to pull numbers out of midair, but do we have any idea what that did for our community financially as far as having those cool events? I think one of the best parades they've had in years. I mean, it's always great, but I would love to find a way to communicate with the community what, besides just the coolness factor, but hopefully there was an economic for that.
Well, it was crazy busy, but I mean, there was a lot of outside factors involved. Last year was hard to, I mean, the event was amazing. I mean, like the activation of the tree, combining with what the chamber's doing, like having it all together was so, this one after the other, like building during the time where it's traditionally slow, it picks up at Christmas, but it's during that lull time, I think was fantastic. There's also no snow. So we had a lot of people coming into town because there wasn't any snow, but the numbers.
Comment, and I can speak to.
Chief elections.
I can speak to occupancy being up specifically during that time frame.
Really, that's kind of what I was trying to figure out.
Sure.
This doesn't have anything to do with that, but. Is this for the PR for it? I mean, is buying Christmas lights or paying for a drone show, can that be TRT money? Is that
Correct.
advertising?
Yep, establishing and promoting. So this is an event, right? We're establishing an
Okay.
event.
I just wanna make sure we're
Yes.
Yep, we
on the
are,
line.
we are good with that.
Okay.
Well, the good thing about this in terms of, well, I think the benefits to the community, it's one of the, we're always talking about how the community can feel the benefits of TRT, and we're like, we don't really, it's hard to kind of tangibly say this is one that they all get the benefit from, like.
I know, I'm 100% for it. I
Oh, yeah,
just wanna
yeah,
make
yeah.
sure we're legal.
Exactly, we looked at, but I think it's a great opportunity to say, this is your TRT money in action, so how our kids.
I just want to show this wonderful report that our director gave us, and if you backtrack the months, we're way over, so if you want an immediate response, we were up over $100,000 in tax collection.
And Felicia said specifically the occupancy for that weekend was peaking. Jason is too.
I'm gonna make a motion.
Yes, perfect, Jason,
Yeah.
please.
I move to approve up to $175,000, that's, for the Moab Holiday Festival, special event and PR activation, including lights, bar, Christmas lights, drone show, event production, and other related costs.
Right,
Instead of 150, you're doing 175.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what Brian said, okay.
Yep. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Sharon, I need more discussion.
We-
Yep,
The
Howard?
lights we purchased last year, we can reuse those lights again, because they ran.
No,
We rented
no,
it.
we ended up using, it was just a rental.
Okay.
So,
That's a good thing for the city.
I know, I went and looked in the contract. I thought we had leased, but we did not lease.
They leased the lights for the bridge. The city had a budget of, I think, $40,000, and we bought lights, like, most all Main Street lights were new this year. We're also doing another 40,000 to do more lights in Swanee Park, you know, stuff, so.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
Oh, yes, what date are you thinking?
We're gonna talk all about that when we go to the
Monday.
Monday's meeting.
Okay,
So,
Right.
I like it.
Sunday.
All right.
so nothing to share yet?
nothing to share
No
yet.
spoilers?
So it's 5 o'clock, so any further discussion?
To vote.
Yeah, I know, but
Oh,
any further discussion on that? No, okay, the motion is on the floor, all those in favor?
Aye.
It is unanimous, great. The. Everybody loves you. I think this one's a short one, Brian, mitigation grant discussion,
Yeah.
yeah.
So just real quick, we were looking at the dates and how things were gonna come out with it. It looks like that grant is gonna be from July 15th, the application period through the end of August now. So the way that it's gonna work out is we will still have time in August to review the grant here for this board, because it is, it's a little bit different, but it still is TRT, so we'll need to have your recommendation on that. But we can do it in August, yeah, and it'll still have.
Sure, I was gonna
So-
say, no July meeting.
I know, well, we weren't sure with which way that the dates were gonna come out, so I just wanted to make sure that this board had the opportunity to review that grant prior to us spinning it. And then second, real quick, I'll just hit you on the restaurant tax.
Yeah.
One of the things that we learned last year at the session is that there are some folks who are going after the restaurant tax. And the group is Maverick, that's the folks that are really interested in getting this thing going.
Yeah.
And so they didn't really put too big of a front up this year, they kind of said, hey, let's get this done, and it just barely failed.
Yeah.
We're under the impression that next year they're gonna come back with full force. If they go after that restaurant tax, what they're trying to do is take that restaurant tax and then turn that into a general tax. So that would basically be moving what is now a luxury tax, right, on our restaurants to a general tax on our citizens, on the citizens. There is a way that we can protect that, and that would be to bond that restaurant tax. So if we bond the restaurant tax for a project, that would then protect those funds into the future right there. And we wouldn't have to worry about the restaurant tax being put into. Exactly. So one of the things that we have talked about up at the commission is going to the CIB board and getting a feasibility study to do a building redesign on the MIC and using this restaurant tax right here, right, to bond for that purpose. just a general overview, something could be like you have your information center on the bottom, and then you could have your Moab Office of Tourism sitting on top. So kind of building up a little bit. I don't know if anybody's been to Washington County and seen their Office of Tourism, but it is spectacular.
We bond for big things too, like maybe a music facility on the side of the tailings pile.
But
Once we've got the Mick taken.
Atomic,
Atomic Amphitheater.
So that's something to think about.
It is something to think
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
We can-
yeah,
we
it's a
can,
good
I mean, technically, we can bond on anything that tax
That'll
is.
protect the tax and keep it in the
Anything
realm.
that tax is, you know, legal, can legally allowable, expenses on it. And then just the general rule is, what is it? It's 10%, right? So if you got a $1 million tax, right, you can bond for 20-something years for about 10 million.
The last item was the Open Public Meetings Act. I'm just going to suggest here, I'm just going to reiterate that everybody, please, if you haven't already, do your ethics, your disclosures, and your open public meetings. We're not going to do it at the end of this. It's late. But please, if you, well, we can, if you want to stay late, I can sit here with you, if you'd like to do it right now. I'll sit with you. I will sit.
Takes 7 minutes.
I
got yours. So if you haven't already filed with the HR or haven't done it previously for 2026, please send me your ethics disclosures and your open public meetings. That's probably also the board, not you. And it's just a video.
Is there a link?
Yes, I'll send you a link.
You got it.
And with any other discussion, I mean, if anybody would like to do board, a really quick board report, quickly, if you'd like to, Lauren, Alicia.
I
Sure.
do have something. The MIC is now showing the short Sand Flats films on demand. So send people in, there's intro to Sand Flats, Old Grove Forest, Moab Living Soil Crest. And you said that Imperial or EPHE.
Oh,
Ephemeral. Yeah, that one, Ephemerals and Moab's Dark Skies. Also, there's been a lot of local social media that are blaming the MIC for giving out a map the left hand. This is totally off fault. We only talk about the Mill Creek Trail if someone specifically asks for it, and then we try to dissuade people from going there. So there is no map we hand out. I just want to get that on the record.
Yeah.
So that people know we do not
Thank you.
send people
Yes.
up there.
Yes.
And while you're on the topic, just to note, our office does not promote any trail that is not in our outdoor adventure guide.
Mhm.
We say that over like a broken record, but a good time to remind you that we also don't promote trails outside of that.
Our airport update, no update yet. FCC or the DOT is a little late.
But are we still looking at
Position.
October?
But I really want this to, because we're not meeting next month, I don't want us to kind of postpone any marketing opportunities that come before the announcement is made. So I hope that you kind of move and we maybe
Are
retroactively.
we still looking at October?
Yeah, October 1st. Another thing to consider is they're looking at money to put a new sign at the airport, which will have a digital display, which I think something we should consider, at least part of our budget things. And then the last thing, nobody wants to hear this, but the airport, part of the phase construction this year includes the entranceway. And there are no other roads into the airport, so just be ready for quite a disruptive getting in and out the airport until they complete that new road. That's it.
So
Brian, anything from you?
I've spoken up, I mean.
Thank you, Nelly. Anything else you'd like to add? Thank you, Lauren. Great one.
We met with over 100 people in Australia and New Zealand, and I've already heard from a lot of those people who we met.
But I
with
guess you want to move.
I definitely will. But we hosted a couple events with the Canyon Spirit. So a lot of the travel agents who we talked to are already emailing me and building out their Moab product. A lot of them are booking fam trips for themselves with the Canyon Spirit and then coming here. And so we're going to show them around. And I'm really excited about that market. And we went because Ski Utah promotes us to Australians specifically during the winter, because Utah is one of the only states where you can ski and do the national parks and not get snowed out. So yeah, it was really interesting and it was great.
Maybe nothing, except for, it's, you know. Tourism brings energy to this town. I mean, I hate, people love it, hate it. There is an energy in town that I just love seeing people love this town. I mean, I see, you see how happy they are. You see them on the river, you see them in restaurants. I see them every day in the restaurant, and I ask every single person that I wait on, why they came, are they enjoying themselves? And it's just, and we take it for granted. We see it every day. We do these things every day, and they're just in awe every day. Every person is in awe, and there's not one person who doesn't just like, this is the most amazing place on earth. I mean, I just, it's just, and to see that number of people, kind of recognize that now, it's just really, I don't know, it feels good. So I'm really, pleased with that.
Brian, you had some.
Nope, we're not gonna top that.
All right, with that, everybody, it is 5:10 and the meeting is now.